Judy and Will, thank you so much for helping with my project. Maybe it'd be good to start off by y'all introducing yourselves.
Yeah, sure. So I'm your coworker. I'm Will Clough. We've been working together for a number of years now, haven't we? And I am living in the San Francisco Bay Area. And what else do we need to know about me? I'm just a hobbyist of space enthusiasm.
Um, did you make the Saturn photo behind you?
I bought this off of the internet a couple of years ago when I was looking for some office decoration, and it inspired me. So lately, I've been telling people that this is the only COVID-free destination that we could get to. So that's a vacation destination we're planning on.
Yep, definitely be safe there from COVID at least.
Mhm. How about you?
Oh, I'm Judy Clough. I'm Will's mother. I live in Kansas City, Missouri, and I'm 67 years old, and I'm so excited about space exploration because I'm from the generation back in the 60s with President Kennedy. I remember all of that. And I'm here for the holidays to visit with Will, Sophia, Chase, their 18-month-old, and a soon to be another grandbaby in April. So we're happy to be here.
Well, that's awesome. Maybe Judy, we could start with you. How old were you when Buzz and Neil first landed on the moon in 1969?
Okay, well, you're going to help me. I was born in 1953. So that was 63,
16?
60. Okay, 60. So I was 7 years old. However, I do remember it. We had televisions, the moon landing, all of that was big news, big news.
I think you would have been 16 or 17, right? Because
You're right. Yeah,
69,
yeah, okay.
yeah.
69. And though that's why I remember it then, of course. But yes, I do remember. No hoax, let me say that.
I've talked to a few people who have their doubts. They're
Oh,
like, we hope we get there the first time, and they're actually from your generation. They're not like new people either.
okay, new people, no. Well, it's no hoax. I'm totally excited. It was very exciting at the time. And what's going on now is amazing to me. I'm glad to be alive to see it. Let me say that. And I will be sorry to miss what's coming, but it's all good.
I, medical technology is advancing amazingly. Our lifespans that we have may be unprecedented as well. So
That's true, the medical advances, and I may live to see Will go or the grandchildren go, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe, we'll see.
are to go with them.
Oh no, I don't want to go. I'm a little bit afraid, let's say that.
But you're fine with flying though.
Yes, yes.
How about roller coasters?
Not so much anymore.
Um,
No.
so in what ways did them landing on the moon actually affect your lives? I mean, did it make you go study science and technology? Did it give you a great hope in the future of humanity? I mean, like or did it make you doubt that the government was spending their money correctly? I mean, like in what way did
Okay, that's a good question. I don't I think it was always hopeful or, something. It didn't make me study. I did not study the sciences, so I'm not certain that I would be able to speak to that. But um, I've always felt that we could do what we set out to do, scientifically. And I love science and love the technologies. The fact that we're able to speak like this is amazing to me. So, without the internet, I wouldn't be able to see people or the technology lets us communicate, so I know all of that's important and probably connected in some way. But does that answer that?
Yeah.
uh, so I will just out of curiosity, when were you born?
81.
81. Okay, so about 9 years after the last time we're on the moon.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, yeah, the current NASA administrator and I were both born in 75, which is 3 years after. He's the first NASA administrator that wasn't alive during the Apollo moon landing, which is kind of interesting.
Wow.
So
Yeah, new generation.
it is. And we had 12 people walk on the moon, of which I think only 5 of them are still alive. So
Wow.
it's kind of interesting. But well, how did you get interested in space? I mean, like, what's your first memory?
I think my first memory of anything space related might have been the Challenger. Um, I remember my mom being really upset about the Challenger, and I came in to try to comfort her. And I think I was trying to read you some Bible verses or something because,
Yes.
but I didn't understand what was going on. But I saw you upset, and I wanted to make you feel better. That's my earliest memory.
Yeah, you would have been 5 at that time.
Yeah.
I was I had actually just gone to Disney World and Cape Canaveral that December before the January launch, and the Challenger was on the launch pad preparing for its flight.
Wow.
We didn't watch it in school, but whenever I got home, my parents were really concerned about me because you know, uh, yeah. Anyway, but it's amazing that didn't turn you off towards space exploration.
I'd say I probably wasn't paying any attention to it for a long time after that. I just think only in recent years, with everything that's been going on with SpaceX and Blue Origin and the privatization, have I gotten a lot more interested in where things are going now.
Yeah, it's whenever launches are 2 times a year, it's hard to get excited about them. But whenever they're like weekly, uh, you know, it's like it's a different story.
Well, you've got a real visionary now in Elon Musk, who's getting people excited about the possibilities and doing crazy things like putting people on Mars. So, I read a lot of news, and so that makes it to the top of my news feed pretty often because I keep on clicking on it. So, yeah, so I'm following that. I asked we're 2 days before Christmas right now, so I asked for a space exploration book
It's
for
under the
Christmas.
tree.
It's
It's un-
under the tree.
Sorry, spoiled it.
Was it a specific title or was it just like a general something from that genre?
Oh, I
You'd be
don't
really
even
surprised.
remember the name of it, but I did an exhaustive Google search, of course, for the most popular book right now, and so it's under the tree.
There you go.
We'll have to let you know.
No, yeah, I didn't know if Will requested like a specific book or just something in that generally. So
I just have nothing to read right now, and that's the topic I'm interested in. So we'll see how it is.
I do know that it had to do with the immediate, what do I say, the business of it.
Oh, right
and,
now.
right, and the people that are involved right now and what's going on. So that it wasn't specifically about space, but what's going on right now with everything, the exploration and the SpaceX. Is that what you call it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's one of the companies.
Yeah.
well, I started this project over a year ago, and I've been interviewing a person a day, and people at coffee shops in the mall and Starbucks, which I guess is a coffee shop, at the airport, on the train, just wherever I could find people up into the middle of March, and then I had to go online. And most people don't know we're going back to the moon. And I've gotten answers from, they didn't know anything about it, or maybe they heard something about it, or maybe NASA was shut down, around 2012, whenever the shuttle stopped taking off, or, NASA's trying to keep it a secret. And, it's really kind of interesting how we get our news has changed from the 1960s to now. I mean, in 1960s, if you got it on the major broadcast TV stations, in the paper, pretty much everybody was talking about the same thing. But now we all see very personalized news, and like you said, you click on it, so you get to see more of it. But for most people, it doesn't even come up.
Yeah, I don't know that maybe I had seen it in a headline at some point, but it wasn't really on my radar until I saw this Houston Chronicle article that was written about you last week. So then I realized, yeah, I think I had seen that, and that's coming up fast.
We watched the last launch though when we were here last time. Remember we were watching
That was a SpaceX.
SpaceX.
That was SpaceX taking people to the ISS. I think.
Yeah, well, we were watching that, and that was very exciting. But to speak to your way we get news, it's true. And I'm the last generation. I don't take a physical newspaper anymore, but I have a digital Kansas City Star that I read every day. And I'm amazed about, even in our family, what things we are aware of and not aware of, to your point. But I think that maybe right now specifically, we've had so much news about COVID and our election. And, for 4 years, we have been so consumed with politics that we're not paying attention. And my hope is that we will move back to paying attention to the wonderful things that are happening.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess what makes you hopeful?
What makes me hopeful? Oh, young people like you, like Will. I'm extremely hopeful because I trust just the creativity, the intelligence, the science, everything. I think the world is going to be a beautiful place, and I'm very hopeful for it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's what's driving a lot of my interest in the last several years in this, this environment, like a polarized kind of environment that we're living in. And now this year we've got the virus, and it's just a way for all of us to stop focusing on the things that we don't like about each other and to unite as a species and look out there and realize that there's so much for us to explore and do together and work together on.
Right.
Yeah, it's really amazing. We're like, if you look at where we are in terms of the cosmos, we're on like this little bitty, not even a dot. And we somehow think we're like the masters of the universe, but we're like so insignificant in like this little bitty place. I mean, I figure there's like two things. One is either there is life in the rest of the universe and we should go and find it, or there isn't and we should go and spread it. I mean,
there you go. I like that. Let's do that. That's good.
So I think the answer is the same, both directions, but not everybody thinks that. People say, we have very immediate problems here on the earth, global climate change, poverty, social justice, fresh water for everybody, internet access for everybody. And that it's like, why are we sending a couple of elite people to the moon while all this other stuff is going on? And, I was wondering how you would kind of address that question.
You go first.
Me first. Oh, because, well, my answer to that was yes, we have those problems, but isn't it through science and these, exploration that we come to be able to solve problems here? In that science, there may be a solution to something that we're facing right now. And then of course, if you want to get apocalyptic about it, we need a place to go if we destroy our earth. So, there's both of those, but I can understand people's concerns, but I think that you have to look at the big picture. Like you say, we're just a small part of this cosmos, and do what we can to see what's out there.
I think it's one of many things that we need to be doing. I mean, social justice, climate change, incredibly important things. Continuing to grow the economy, having a safe world. Everything is important, and I think everybody should have a voice and vote for the priorities that they believe in. The way I'm voting is to probably increase our allocation to space exploration, or to have more private companies often doing this thing. I just think there needs to be more enthusiasm and general interest in understanding how this stuff can benefit us both. I think sort of from a technological and problem solving level, but also just almost a spiritual and emotional level, because it answers one of the questions of why are we here. Let's explore this universe.
Yeah, the why are we here kind of goes directly. I mean, the implicit, you have the usual way of interpreting that question, like what's the meaning and point of it all. But the other way, which is kind of a little funny way of interpreting the why are we here question, is why aren't we there? You know?
That's good.
Yeah.
Why aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we did think we'd be further along in this whole space exploration from the 60s, 70s to where we are now. I don't know what happened, what the history was there, but it had to have been
Yeah, there was a
political.
big effort. Yeah, it was a big push, and then it
Uh-huh.
kind of dropped off or plateaued for a while.
Right.
Or at least that's my impression of what happened.
Mhm.
I don't know. What do you think, Nathan?
I mean, I think people's attention spans are very, very short. And if you make the reason beat the Russians and then you beat the Russians, people are like check mark on to other things, which kind of concerns me because it's very easy to turn this next landing has been kind of billed as in 2024 we'll have the first woman and the next man land on the moon, right? So that's a great accomplishment and landmark that we should get past for sure. By the same token, if that's like the sole reason that people hear and kind of clicks with them, once you've like achieved that milestone, they're like, why are we still there? It needs to be something along like, in 2024, we're going to land humans on the moon again to continue the development of space for the better of humanity, benefit of humanity or something like that. And oh, by the way, we're going as multiple nations working together and with a crew that represents more of us. I mean, that would be kind of the thing. But people's attention span can't take all that in, I don't think.
Or is there a question that we're trying to answer that can be a cliffhanger? I mean, people watch seasons after seasons of TV because, like, well, okay, well, what was the answer? We went to the moon, and then what? So, how do we craft that narrative that people will stay more interested over a longer period of time?
I mean, I personally think the problem is people feel like they can't participate. It's a bunch of billionaires and elite people who are going out there doing these exciting things while the rest of us kind of, um, you know, are back here doing our mundane activities that we do. Um, I mean, I feel like if we thought that we individually would have the opportunity to go to space, our kind of enthusiasm would be very different.
Would you like to go?
Yeah, I want to go. I want to go when it's super safe. or at the very least, go get out into orbit and see the Earth from
That
Earth,
I
right?
would like to see that, and I enjoy the pictures of seeing the Earth, but I still have too much fear, I think.
Now, is your fear of being on the top of like a gigantic bomb that's hurling you into the sky, or is it a fear of heights?
Fear of not coming back,
Um,
of a space accident, I guess. I'm more afraid of that. I would rather spend my time here than take that risk of not coming back. Now, if it proves to be as safe as air travel right now, then that would probably alleviate my fear.
but I mean, looking at those astronauts in the SpaceX capsule, it is a very traumatic event that they go through in those 2 minutes.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
But there is a company called Space Perspectives that's in Florida that's working on creating these capsules that can hold 9 people, 8 tourists and a pilot, with a huge hydrogen-filled balloon above it that will take you all the way up into the stratosphere. And from that altitude, you can see the curvature of the Earth and the blackness of space. And it's like maybe a 6-hour journey, but it's very smooth. You don't have the traumatic event, and you land back in either the Gulf of Mexico or the Atlantic, and then they come and take the little capsule aboard. But
That's cool.
Have they started operation?
they haven't, but they're planning to, I think, in the next couple of years. So not too far. But I think for a lot of people who don't like roller coaster rides and are okay with heights, and just want to kind of get that perspective, this is it kind of turns into a picnic as opposed to like the Blue Origin experience, which is a total of 15 minutes from takeoff to landing. you know
Wow.
After spending $250,000, they don't have announced prices, but we imagine it's like the same ballpark as Virgin Galactic which that experience is a little bit longer, because you have like the part where you're in the rocket plane that's on the carrier plane that's getting up to altitude. So I think from takeoff to landing, that's like an hour experience. But
Beautiful.
So are you going to go on one of these?
I don't know, not at the, well, either my economic situation has to change or the price has to change. So
You gotta think, well, the price is going to come down, right? So
I'm hoping so.
assuming the prices come down, which one would be your first choice to go on?
Which one of those three, or?
Of yeah, the helium one, or the Blue Origin one, or the Virgin one?
Um, uh, that is a very good question. I have no clue, actually.
All
I'd
three.
be happy with any of them, whichever one.
Choose them all three.
Why limit yourself at this point?
I didn't know that Florida company existed.
No,
That's
that's
cool.
cool. Maybe for Christmas.
There you go.
And just the two people that started that company, Jane Pointer and Tabor McAuliffe, they actually were two of the biospherians that were in that Biosphere 2 way back in the late 1980s, early 1990s. And they started a space company called Paragon Space Systems that works on like the life support systems. And they're that company is going to be working on the Dynetics team for the human landing system. And then they created another company called Worldview that has like these big balloons to take, like, you could, I mean, with the satellite, you have to be in orbit, and like if you're geosynchronous orbit, you're way far away, and if you're not, then you're moving out of view too quickly. But you could take like a cell tower, put it on like one of these high altitude balloons, put it over a city, and create cell service for an entire city. Um, you know, uh, which would be great in like an emergency or situation that you needed to do that. Um, Well, there's also another thing. Have you heard of Space Hero?
Space Hero?
No.
No.
It's it is a reality TV contest that's going to be launched next year. And it's going to be a global contest. The winner of which gets to go to the International Space Station for 10 days.
Oh
Whoa.
my gosh.
What do you have to do to win the contest?
Not entirely sure. There's supposed to be some physical, mental, community challenges involved, and I think, towards the early part, middle summer of next year, they'll have the details out. Um, so they right now, if you go to spacehero.me, there you can sign up for their mailing list and for the Space Insiders program, um, which they're really just kind of getting everything in the works. But I know some of the people involved in it, so it seems like a legitimate thing that's going to happen. So I'm really,
Are you going to do it? Are you going to participate?
if I can, I'm definitely going to promote it.
Yeah.
So I would like, I've talked to people in like Egypt and Pakistan who want to be astronauts, and they don't have human spaceflight programs. So, for them to like become astronauts is a lot more daunting than it is for like Will and I or you. Um, uh, and so it's kind of neat to kind of get everybody in the world involved in this. I hope the contest is done in such a way that even the people that just participate and don't win feel better for it. That's sort of what I think is key.
That's exciting. I would watch that show.
Wait, they need a lot more sponsors to hear you say that.
I would watch that show, wouldn't you?
Watch that show.
Yeah, it'd be a good show. But I feel like, I don't know if you remember the internet in the 1990s. Like in 1990, almost nobody had email unless you worked at the university or if you were in research or something. And then by 2000, everybody had email. And like 1990, explaining to people what web shopping was and what have you was almost impossible. But by 2000, those became commonplace. I feel like the 2020s are going to be as transformative for space exploration as the 1990s were for computers and communications. And I was wondering what y'all, if y'all think that's likely and what that would mean over the course of the next decade.
Mm, you go first.
That's a bold prediction. I mean, if you were sitting in 1990 saying that all this stuff was going to happen, you'd have looked like a genius. I certainly hope it turns out that way. Um, if so, the number of private space companies I can count on one hand that I'm aware of, right? I know SpaceX, Blue Origin, and Virgin Galactic. And to me, the frequency with which they make headlines still doesn't seem to be all that frequent, right? Like it's so hard to predict, 5 or 10 years from now. How is something that occasionally pops into my newsfeed going to impact my daily life many years from now? I don't know. What do you think?
I don't know. Um, yeah, because Sophia and I were just talking about that, about how Apple hadn't come out with a new device for Christmas. You know how every Christmas there's a new technology. If the 2020s are going to be space exploration, what is going to make it personal for me? Is that kind of your question, or what are they going to do? I mean,
I guess, do you think it'll be as transformative? Like, do you think that the difference between 2020 to 2030 in terms of space exploration would be as different as it was between 1990 to 2000 in regards to the internet?
yeah.
And if it is, what would you expect to see?
Wow, I don't, that's fun because, that takes a lot of imagination. I grew up with Jetsons cartoons, and so I'm all about flying cars. I just saw that Miami has heliports where they're going to park flying cars. So if space exploration is anywhere that transformative, would we not have shuttles? Shuttles that would come back. I don't, I would fully expect, because technology is so, what do you call it when they build on each other? Exponential in a way, that I would say in 10 years it could be extremely exciting. Things we would never have known or dreamed about that maybe you all already are dreaming about. Wow.
I think some of the stuff I've heard about, like the worldwide internet, if you put the satellites in the right places, that like everybody can understand very quickly, like what the benefit is of that. With the moon project, coming back to your project, like I guess I still am not making the connection of what are the top 5 things that we're trying to get scientifically out of it. I mean, is this designed to be the first step towards colonization of the solar system, or are we doing research? Like, what are the big things we're doing out there?
Yeah, I think the problem is it's like a city bus. Lots of people are on it, but all for different reasons. So depending upon who you talk to, you'll get a different rank order of them. But I can tell you, for me, I think kind of proving out the resources that are on the moon and figuring out how we could use those to do further development and exploration and what have you would be key. Several things we know about. One is we discovered that there's water ice in the craters on the poles of the moon. So the moon has like a 1% tilt with regards to the sun, and has these huge craters that are really deep. And over billions of years, comets and asteroids have hit the moon, and some of those water molecules have made it into these craters where there's permanently shadowed areas where it's colder than the surface of Pluto. And so anything that makes it in there just like freezes and stays put. And can we access that ice, use it for rocket fuel, because you could turn into oxygen and hydrogen. You could use it for breathing air, for water. And potentially that can make doing things in space a lot cheaper. You could create spacecraft that go to the moon and refuel, or you take that and you send it to Earth orbit, and you basically have depots in the sky where you just launch enough to get above the Earth's atmosphere, get the fuel in orbit, and now you don't have to launch, make your rocket big enough to be able to launch all that fuel also, so that our even air and water and other stuff. Some people have talked about, I mean, if you consider the sun emits energy in all directions, and if you look at the sphere that, if you created a sphere that came out to the circumference of Earth's orbit, and you looked at the surface area of that sphere compared to the surface area of the facing the sun, the difference is like 1/700th billionth. So if you could think about, the sun is producing an enormous amount of energy. Only 1/700th billionth of that falls on the Earth and powers everything we know. I mean, that makes everything grow. That's all the weather. That's all the energy, either from the past or from the result of the dinosaurs and the materials before turning to oil. uh, you know, if we could capture more of that, we would be able to have unlimited energy. What if you could use the materials on the moon to build solar panels, to build these huge arrays to capture more of that energy to like beam to Earth or use in orbit? So that's kind of the big, life-changing things. And then just simple discovery. Can you imagine what the world would be like if we didn't know about electromagnetism? Like the ability to send and receive radio signals? I mean, something so fundamental like that. I just wonder what we're missing just because we all grow up in the same place with sort of the same mental blinders on. And the moment we start looking at the universe from someplace else, maybe we'll have all these ideas that we can't even anticipate.
Right, right. That's so exciting.
Hard to quantify, but it's valuable.
Yeah, it's a complete waste until it isn't.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And that's why it takes the exploration and the creativity and, let's do it.
Definitely. Well, I really appreciate y'all's time. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about we didn't get to?
No, I'll probably pick your brain periodically if I hear something that I need help with. But it's really fun to talk about this stuff, and I've learned a lot talking to you. So
Thank you.
Yeah, I really learned a lot from talking to y'all as well. It's great to share, and that's a wonderful picture of Saturn. Did y'all get to see the conjunction?
no, I
It was
missed it.
cloudy. It was cloudy. We watched for it, but it was cloudy. So
We'll get some
weather permit.
pictures on the internet.
The pictures on the internet are amazing. You like have Saturn and Jupiter with its moons right there, all like in the same frame.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I have a hard time explaining to people that they're really far apart.
Yeah, it's beyond most of us, that's for sure. Well, thank you for all your enthusiasm.
Yeah, your project is so cool. I'm so
It
glad
is
you're doing this.
cool.
Well, thank you all for participating. Now I just need to find 1,400 more people.
Oh, no.
We can help you with it.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good one. Merry Christmas.
Okay. Merry
Bye.
Christmas. Bye-bye.